Good day to you all and welcome to a new video by Uncle Peekanier. This time I want to do another player in the spotlight, another KaM player special. This will be episode 2 and I wanted to put Killer in the spotlight this time. Killer is a very versatile player and that's why I think you might think it's really interesting to watch what build orders he can master and how he performs on several locations. One of the location is this location, lock 1 rebound, where he says this is his favorite location. I think that's really interesting because what I see is that this lock 5 is really popular. This is probably the most popular. Lock 6, this is really good. Lock 4, lock 3 is also good. Lock 2, yeah, some people really like to play that, but others think that it is the hardest location. But most people probably think that this location is the hardest to play on. So especially for people who struggle to put up a decent peacetime army, I will show you how Killer is performing here. And Killer, that was the original nickname. He started out under this name like 4 or 5 years ago maybe. But then there was a famous card on the bridge, the one and only bridge on Golden Cliffs, and it was known as Killer on the bridge. And since then he changed his name to Siem, and Siem actually means, well, actually means nothing. It's his real name. So he's playing with this nickname ever since. He is in the beer clan now, which I'm really happy with because he's a pretty strong player. And he got caught by Mulberry on that bridge, by the way, back then. And speaking about Mulberry, we saw him yesterday on TeamSpeak. I talked to this guy and looks like he's coming back to stay. And let's hope he feels himself welcome here and will behave himself and not get in trouble like last times. Because what I remember of him, that was, he's a really good player. He played some nice games with us back then. But let's focus on this game. This is Siem in action, and Siem is at the moment really active. He finished school and is available for quite some time and will be in a few months following. So we will be playing a lot. He is on TeamSpeak almost every day, I think. He's really interested in the World Cup. He's following every match, he says. But besides that, he's playing KaM a lot. And this is actually not a really recent game because you can tell that this guy, John Rambo, Coaches 12, Colunio the Dude, Robin Hood, he names himself many things, but Coaches 12 is not really active for a long time. So this is a bit older game, but actually a game I could find where Siem was playing on this location. As you can see, we focus big time on wood before 20th minute. Let's take a look. He has 5 woodcutters, he will make 2 more. And he has already 4 farms. He will continues to make more farms. And there are some nice things to mention on this log. Since I've saw Siem play here, I don't have that much trouble anymore myself play this map. For trees, it's not really that hard. Just put up a woodcutter in this area who will cut some trees, but also plant some trees pretty early. And then you should take all the trees here in the north and make some more woodcutters who will plant trees as well. And then it's, in my opinion, and I see Siem is doing the same, it's absolutely needed to get the woodcutter here up pretty fast as well. And at least cut all the trees first, then you can use the space that he cleared for some buildings, usually for iron weapon production, like army smithies and etc. And then you can choose to let him plant again. Depends really on the amount of space he cleared and how many buildings you got here. Yeah, you see, he's really focusing on farms more than on iron. His iron is not that late, but it's after 30 minutes that he first makes his armors and shields. Of course, you need to set up a bakery, because you will starve if you don't do it. And those two pig farms will assure that you at least have some sausages in this stage of the game. When this map came out, made by Ben, I remember that no one really wanted to play it because gameplay was so different. But Fu and I popularized this map through the years, and it's probably now the most played 6-player map, I think. He has a second gold. You really need it because many people have not enough recruits usually on this location, because you can only get 2 gold here, and then when you want the 3rd gold mine you need to set it up here, which is pretty far away. Aha! Siem is Siem, he makes a double stable. It's really bold on a map like this. Yeah, he's playing really on the edge with his inn. Looks really empty. So we'll make another bakery. That's sometimes what I do as well. I don't see many people do it on this map, but it can be really helpful. He has a nice amount of towers here. Not sure that's really needed. Maybe he's thinking that Koos here will invade him with some militia or something. You see, its towers are nice on time, and it's usually a sign that his build is going pretty well. How many farms? 11 farms. And I don't have time really to finish this game, because this, as you can see, it was a really long game. A very nice game, by the way. But let's take a look at what he's got on peacetime. And it's not about peacetime only. You can see he has a lot of farms. And he will spam like crazy, of course. 2 stables after peacetime will be really nice and helpful for his teammates. But on 60 minutes he has more than 30 swords and a nice amount of leather, with a nice amount of horses at this moment as well. And it looked like he had some problems with food, but He now has 2 bakeries, so it will not be a problem for him anymore. But I think it's a really good build for people who don't like to play on this location because they have always starvation, they always have problems with gold or whatever, boot maybe. So here you could see how Siem does it, and I think it's really good. Alright, we're back with game number 2, where Siem performed as well. It was a really nice game, but especially a really chaotic game, which I may show you something of after peacetime, but we'll focus on the building part first. And this game was played on a really old map, one of the first maps I created some time ago, called Dead of Winter. We don't play it a lot, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, I don't know. But we play it because it's a unique map, it's different. It's not the same as any other ladder map because distances are really long. And while I've done some updates for all the maps, I haven't done it for this map. And maybe it will just stay like it is because it's a really old school map. And it looks really old school if you ask me. And Siem is playing here on the second location. And this map is always played top versus bottom. It is the locks are separated by either a line of iron or gold. And for players playing on top, the stone is usually on the south side of the location. Your food is pretty high. It used to be like this on older maps we played. So the difficulty is not in the amount of food, and I don't think in the amount of trees as well. The difficulty lies in the distances between resources. For instance, if you play here on Siem's block and you want to get some fish, you need to go, I don't know, 2-3 screens below your storehouse to get some fish here. But then you need to go there anyway if you want to place some towers near peacetime. So fish is usually not taken at the start, it's simply too far away. Iron is usually pretty far as well. This is real far for him to go. So people usually focus on a lot of farms, and that's probably what you should do on Dead of Winter. And yeah, locks are pretty big, so having enough farms shouldn't be a problem. Maybe some locations. I think this is the largest. Can hold more than 20 farms. Nobody ever played with that amount, what I know of at least, before, but you can pull it off on a lock like this. But yeah, now that we look at this, this was Donati play, as you know, the special player of episode 1, and he had I can show you maybe later on, but he had the most ugly base, really, I'm not kidding you. ugly base I have ever seen, but it's a gift for you for later on, because I'm focusing on Siem. He's making a lot of farms, as you can see. He will continue making more, and he works his way towards this iron here. Like I said, it is really, look, this is normal screen. It's like at least 2 screens away. And that's why this gold is not so hard. At some locations the iron is more close than it is here, but then the gold is a bit farther away. And on this map as well, you don't have normally all iron mines in one spot. You can have 3 relatively close, because iron is so far away, but when you want this last one you need to go here. But it looks like he will do it, because he's making some woodcutters along the way. The reason why I showed you his performance on this location in this game was because he wanted to make a lot of horses and some leather as well, but his main focus is on knights. And like I said, he's a versatile player. That's why I think it's really interesting to make episode 2, put him in the spotlight like this, because he can also do really good with double stable. And there are other players who can do it as well. I remember Ben was pretty good on it. His best performance, but I can't really remember what it was, but he had a monster game on log 4 ending the tyranny, but it's like some time ago when Ben was still playing with us. He's not active, as you know, last year probably, maybe longer. And of course Yahoo. Yahoo is his nickname is the horse master. He's playing with double stable, but he's not that active at the moment. He does play with us sometimes, but Siem can do it as well, and he's pretty good in double stables. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that he sets his stonemason so far away. There's a lot of stone on Dead of Winter, by the way. You can see by how the rock looks like that there is a lot of stone in it. And he's storing, of course, the horses before the barracks is being built. Set it up here. And then his iron just went up. It was so far away. That's maybe the reason why he chose to do knights on this lock as well. Because usually the amount of horses are the most difficult part of making a lot of knights, but then you need to make so many farms before you reach this iron here that you might as well set up some stables. So this might be a good lock for this. Not every lock is good for it. You need a lot of space, and especially if you need to go for leather as well. I see he's making a vineyard here. He will of course catch some fish later on. But you see, it's a really nice peacetime army will be, with a nice group of knights, and he has some bows along with it. And I think it's a really good combination. Knights and bows. It's really strong. Yeah, let's pause here, and you see his peacetime army is pretty good, and he continued to make in knights, bows, also make some lances. But I promised you I will show you this base by Donati. I mean, really, come on, how ugly can it get? Yeah, it's unbelievably ugly. But has to do with Donati, who's going only for iron, and yeah, you can see it can be done on a map like this. But let's focus on how it goes after peacetime, because I'm curious what he can do with his knights. Yeah, and I think it's because of all the horse, because I had some horses myself as well, is that people, just the presence of all those knights make people stand behind the towers and try to defend. We don't have that much vision here because they had all these towers up. But we will try to make a good push on this guy's base. This is Grossmeister. It surprises me a little that they dare to come out with their troops. That means they are pretty confident. But then you can see Fu is on his way as well. With some troops. Almost every unit he has goes to the left side. You see even Donati is here with some troops. But then it will come at a price, of course, because Razor is so far away and out of game that he decided to launch an attack on Donati's base. And even though this guy has a lot of nice armor, a nice iron army, the only thing he can do at this point is retreat a bit, because it's a 2v1 situation. SLS is helping Razor out, by the way, so it's even harder. But here we have a nice breakthrough. And how exactly, if you play against a guy with so many horse, how exactly do you want to stop this at this point? I think it might be even impossible unless you have some nice groups of pikemen still in your barracks somewhere. And for me and Siem, it's really too late to help out at this point Donati, who is in big trouble. But luckily he has his army still. That we try to take out this second player. And I'll try to go back a bit with what I still have left. It's not that much. And here you can see Siem is destroying the second barracks. So 2 people down. But then what's the damage done here? You see Don is destroyed, and there's not really that much he could do, of course, because he was outnumbered big time. And I haven't showed you this, but Razor was playing on this location, which is probably the best location, at least that's what I think it is. Had a really good peacetime army. You can see they because they lost 2 players. They need to take out Mr. Fu right now, because otherwise they will lose the game. But Fu returned with the remains of his army. Yeah, finally those horses go down, but they did so much damage in this game. Let's take a look at our own damage. You see, like Donati. Yeah, he has 3 serfs, 1 builder, so he's kinda out of the game, you can say. And they need to get Mr. Fu out of the game as well to have any chance. But we now focus all our troops here on saving Fu's town. This was a nice game, but it was what I remember of this game was especially the knights by Siem. They worked really nice. I showed you his build, his peacetime army, and now you can see how strong it is actually in a game. So I hope more people will do double stables from time to time. Yes, and now it's time for some real action, because you see a monster game here performed by Siem. Like I told you before, like he can do several different build orders, and he performs this one really well. Because for me, Siem is also known as a guy who can make monster iron only builds, and this is a good example of that. This is a really nice game, and it is played on a map called Swamp Fever, and it's a map that is not really been playing a lot of games on, and I think it has to do with that this was the first map I released after the remake came out officially, last one. So this map was never released on the official version we play today. And as some of you might know, there is a new version coming. They're already beta testing this, and probably won't take that much time to be released, but we'll have to see. And in the meantime, we play the version we know, and this game was also played in that version, but it's a really old game, like 2 years ago, maybe longer. But I still found this jewel somewhere on my hard disk. And yeah, what can I tell you about the map? It is the first jungle style map I made, and the only jungle style I made so far. It's a combination of a lot of water, swamp, palm trees and desert, which I think is looks really good. But I leave that up to you to decide. We have a game here with Siem, who's going for iron only. And if you have noticed, he had a really good start. On my maps you have a fast building unlock order, so he made a school along with a stonemason and a woodcutter right away. He's building up some stonemasons going north towards this iron here. It works pretty well. Of course he's going for trees here. A lot of trees, you definitely need them. Some people overlook maybe the fact that if you go for iron only, you might think you don't need that much timber because you don't go for wooden weapons. But the thing is, actually, that especially in the beginning you need way more timber than if you go leather, because you need to put up all the coal mines, iron weapon production. It will cost you a lot of timber actually. But then again, if that's set up in a proper way and you have enough coal mines, etc., then it's true, you don't need that much timber anymore. And he has 5 iron mines on this location he can use. He has built all of them, of course, and he will let it run, and has 2 weapon smithies total and 3 armory smithies, because he's not making pikes in X-bows, but the more powerful combination of swords with X-bows. And you see we're not even at 50 minutes, but he already has a really nice group of swordsmen he can make, and crossbowmen. Yeah, here you can see that he's trading, because he's making wooden shields, and he's trading him directly into iron ore, and that's why he set up 5 iron smelters. And he's building another armory smithy and another weapon smithy here. Yeah, this is all working on 2 mills, 1 fisher, and he will make 2 vineyards for his food production. 16 coal mines. And with 18 breads in the store, I hope he will make a second inn. He has a second inn somewhere. Oh, here, yeah. Yeah, it should be no problem at all. And he can continue to spam, by the way, because he has this trade set up for iron. And this was a monster game really, because he has almost 80 iron units, almost 40 swords and 40 crossbowmen with enough recruits. So this is one of the best performances of iron only I've ever seen. Yeah, let's watch a bit after peacetime, see what he can do with all those units. The other people who are playing here, like for instance Dan, had also a lot of iron. Not as much as Siem, but still really impressive. And even Raging Bullet, look at this, it's really good. And they were playing with Passat, which is a good builder himself, in my opinion. It was top bottom versus me, Fu Donati, and Yo-Yo, who is Razor, playing on this location. All had good armies. And Don Arti was also playing really well here, but his focus was on leather. I believe he had 75 leather jackets. And it looks imba, really. It's really nice. Yeah, Razor has scouted and seen all that is coming. And Razor, who didn't have enough recruits, needs to go back into his base. Luckily he has quite a few towers up. He's standing here against two players. And I wanted to help Razor out here, but then Bullet is kind of flanking me. And I don't have ranged units myself. But they are doing a fine job of cutting me from Razor here. And there's not much Razor can do. Yeah, and then this happens, and yeah, not much you can do really. With Razor gone, we need to make advantage of this, because it's a 3 versus 2 situation. Even with Dan and Raging Bullet have an Imba army with a lot of crossbows. We managed to take them out. Who had a nice amount of knights as well, I must say. Yeah, Raging's army is gone, Dan's army is gone. Razor has not much troops left. So let's see how Siem is doing here with his insane amount of iron troops. Yeah, and I thought it was kind of funny that Siem ignores the units of Razor, who was hitting him on the back like a fly. So with bullets, town being economy being destroyed, it was GG. But still, you can see what damage Siem had done. You can see his stats were really good. He made a lot of kills, and you can look at the wares. You can see that there are more people who did big iron. But Siem did the best performance here. Look at the amount of iron bars he had. On peacetime it's more than 200, so it seems. It's really really overpowered. And then you see a straight line going further up. So he had a nice spam with the units. So I hope you enjoyed this this shoutcast, this player special, where Siem was in the spotlight. I showed you some different build orders he mastered really well, like this iron only, the double stable, and the nice performance he set up on Rebound location 1. So I hope you learned some things from it, and I'd like to see you next time.